Hello, everyone. I'm Ben Johnson, and this is the Perpetual Chess Podcast. On Perpetual Chess, I have weekly conversations with the chess world's best players, promoters, and educators about their lives, careers, current projects, and best practices. For more information, go to perpetualchesspod.com. Okay, I am here with International Master Michael Rahal from Barcelona. Michael, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Ben. It's a pleasure.
So you are a very good chess player and a chess teacher, and I've had some listeners from Barcelona, yourself included, who've been reaching out to me, and I've mentioned before I'm a huge fan of the city. I'm not alone in that, but it'll be good to hear the perspective of chess in Barcelona and chess in Spain and the general culture over in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be on your show, Ben. I've listened to practically all the shows before. And actually, congratulations, because they're really good, and you're a very good interviewer. So I'm happy to be here, and hope to be able to give your listeners some insight in how chess works here in Spain.
Okay, well, thanks for the kind words. And we were just talking offline. You actually were born in England, but made your way to Spain. So you moved at 12. Were you already a chess player at that point, or did you pick it up in Barcelona or outside of Barcelona?
No, I learned chess when I was about 7. I don't have many memories of my childhood in England, chess-wise. I do remember playing some tournaments there, but at a very basic level. Then we came to Spain. My family came to live in Spain, me and my brothers, my sisters, my parents. And I think I really picked it up when I came to Barcelona, when I came to live in Barcelona, because I had some neighbors that were also playing chess. One of the kids of my neighbors was more or less my age and played chess as well. And we got to playing chess together. We went to the club. There was a club in our town. And when I was 13, 14, I started picking up a bit more seriously. Okay.
And when did you make the IM title?
That was quite late. I was a late starter. I did play quite a bit from 13, 14 onwards, but I was always one of the best players in my town and even in the province of Barcelona. But until I was 20, 21, I didn't really start getting a decent international rating. I seem to remember that I was about 2200, 2250 back then, which was probably higher than now, because the base was 2200 back then. You didn't start with 1000 like now. You started with 2200. So I was about 2250 when I was about 23 years old, and my IM title came when I was 29. So it was quite late, actually.
Okay. And how old are you, Michael?
I'm 47 now.
Okay, so a bit older than me. Yeah, I do feel generally like chess achievements were harder to come by when we were younger. I always tell the young kids, the young whippersnappers with their tactics trainers, who crush us routinely, that things were a little different back then, and there were fewer GMs, there were fewer IMs, and there were fewer FMs, and on down the line. There was a
few everything. Here in Spain, there's about 50 grandmasters now. And when I became an international master, I think there was about 7 or 8. I mean, there's fewer of everything. It was much more difficult. There were less tournaments, less events. The learning curve, it took much more time to get better because there was no computers, no internet. We had to use basically books. Well, you have the same age as me, so more or less you know how this went, no? So,
yes, I do. Yeah. Yeah, I was just at the tail end of the book era.
However, the good thing about that was that as there were no computers and we were studying a lot, there was much more active practice. I think actually Jan Malinsky was talking about that in his podcast. No, nowadays many of the lessons you just give the lesson and the kids are listening, but they're not really doing active studying. Whereas because they're just listening to a video or listening to someone talking on the internet. Whereas in my day, 25 years ago, you'd have to get the books, get the chess set out, and really do active studying, stopping when there was a diagram, trying to solve the positions by yourself. And I think that's actually a better way to learn chess. But anyway, times are changing.
Yes. And you are a chess educator in Barcelona. I read on your website you've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah, I would say I've always liked to give chess lessons because I've been doing that since I was basically a kid. I remember when I was in school, 18, 19 years old, I would play chess with my friends and teach them how to move. I've always liked doing that. And since I was 21, 22, while I was still studying and trying to improve my chess as a player, I would always be giving different types of lessons to adults, mainly to adults, actually, not so much to kids. Whereas lately, for the last 15 years, I've been concentrating on kids from about 6 years old to about 16, which is the age groups that I actually like working with. Yeah.
So why the shift to kids?
Well, I enjoy teaching kids and I enjoy teaching adults. There's no difference for me. What I really like is that the students enjoy learning, active students, not so much passive students. And generally speaking, kids are more active students because most of the kids I train or I try to teach, they also play tournaments. They improve. Their rating improve as they learn more and they win tournaments and they play better, and that gives me as a teacher a slight satisfaction. Whereas when I train adults, it's more obviously they want to improve, but they want to get entertained as well. They want to have a good time analyzing some games, but it's much more difficult for an adult to improve significantly because normally they've been playing for their whole life, and it's much more difficult to change their way of thinking. Things that they gradually learn during their whole life, it's difficult to change them. Whereas kids are sponges; they just pick up everything new, and you can see their progress much easily. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that since 2000, I started working for Miguel Illescas, the grandmaster here in Barcelona, in his chess school. I am one of my jobs is to I coordinate the team of teachers in the Miguel Illescas chess school in Barcelona. We have about 30 teachers, chess teachers, and we work in about 40 schools in Barcelona. And obviously that had a direct impact in the type of students I'd be teaching, because apart from coordinating the teachers and working with the schools, I also do quite a few chess classes in the schools, and obviously that means I'm dealing with kids. So it's probably both these things.
30 teachers, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's quite a big school. Most of them are part-time, I have to say that. We might have 3 or 4 more or less full-time teachers, but most of the rest are part-time. The reason that is like that is because in Barcelona, in the schools of Barcelona, there's about 400 schools in Barcelona. It's a big city. There's more than 2 million people living here. And in the 400 schools, we're probably teaching chess in about 200 of them. More or less, that's our idea of the number of schools doing chess in Barcelona. But most of them do extracurricular chess. I think it's called not in the classroom, but as a external activity, after class activity. I think you say in the States. I think that's the way it's said, after class.
Yeah, or like an elective.
Or elective, yeah, a voluntary activity,
right?
Not a forced activity.
Okay.
And the way school is structured in Barcelona, the kids go to school at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they leave school about 5 o'clock. So chess has become a very good activity to do at midday, which is more or less from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, or 12:30 to 2:30. So we do the chess class in the free time the kids have at midday after having their lunch. So the problem is that there's so many groups and so few middays in the week that we need a lot of teachers to be able to take care of so many clients, so many different schools, because they're all basically at the same time,
right?
In midday from Monday to Friday, and that's why we need many teachers, but part-time teachers that only teach at that hour of the day.
Right. So
it's quite tricky, actually.
Yeah. So lunchtime chess instead of a siesta.
Yeah. The siesta is one of those things that the siesta actually is quite interesting. I think that originally the siesta came from the south of Spain, where it's tremendously hot at midday. The south of Spain is very, very hot at midday. So generally people would go to work very early in the morning, go back home, have the lunch and the siesta, and then work a bit more when it would cool down about 6 o'clock. And that became sort of one of those things of Spain, the bulls, the siesta, and the paella. The three things.
Sounds good to me. Don't forget the sangria.
But sangria is very nice. That would be the fourth.
Right.
But actually, the siesta is not really something that many people actually do. I mean, I never get time to do a siesta.
Right.
So in schools, and another thing is that here in Barcelona, in nearly all of the schools, the kids stay to have lunch at school. They don't go home for school. So basically they're the whole day in the school from 8:30 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Some of the schools have the chess in the afternoon, but that's a tricky thing because many parents leave their kids to do chess, not specifically because they like to do chess, but more because they can't come and pick them up until later on, so they have to do some sort of activity. And that does mean that sometimes the lessons are not so good because you sometimes get kids who are not really interested in doing chess, but they're more or less forced to be there.
Yeah, I think all chess educators have had experiences like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So how did Grandmaster Aleskis get this program set up? Like, how is it funded and how long has it been in existence and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, the school was opened in 2000, if I remember rightly. It's a private school, so everything is basically private. We deal with the different schools privately and arrange contracts to send our teachers to the schools. And every now and then there have been some arrangements with different local governments, but very small things. Basically, in Spain, the teachers who do chess in schools, it's basically all private schools or private teachers. And the only thing which is more or less funded by the government or by the federations is the programs that don't teach chess in the schools for the kids, but teach the teachers to do chess as a didactic method in the classroom, which is slightly different. I'm not sure if I'm...
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's two types of chess. There's the traditional after-class chess lessons where chess players with educational skills teach chess to the kids. They learn and they play tournaments and competitions. And then there's this other chess, which is educational chess, so didactic chess, which is taught by the teacher who has very basic notions of chess, but they use chess as a tool to teach other subjects, math, language, all types of different. It's a transversal method, and normally they do that with very young kids, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, and then when the kids get a bit better, then they can go to the after-school program if they're interested to go a bit further. And this is getting a lot of attention in Spain now. Every day there are more teachers, normal teachers, regular teachers, who learn chess, basic chess, and they use that in their schools to introduce chess as an educational purpose more than a competitive purpose. I'm not sure if that's happening also in the United States, but it's happening here in Spain now, and in other countries as well.
Well, here, people who teach chess always promote it as an educational tool, and I certainly believe in it as such, but I'm not as sure if there's a direct, is there a direct transition from, okay, you teach the kids how to play, and then how does that translate to them learning other things?
Well, I think chess has a lot of good educational purposes. It helps to develop your memory. It helps the kids concentrate. It helps them make decisions. There's a lot of good educational skills that you learn just by learning chess. You don't really need to specifically focus on all the other things, because when you're learning chess and playing chess, you're developing those skills. But what I'm talking about is a normal teacher who might teach math, for instance. He can use the chess pieces, and he can use the chessboard, and he can use the dynamics of the chess game to teach math. For instance, instead of summing up apples and pears, he can use the chess pieces to different sums. He can do basic trigonometry and geometry using the chessboard. There are books and there are papers on this sort of thing. But obviously, the teacher has to have a bit of an interest in chess. And if you do that for very young kids, well, that's good, because kids love learning using games. They love games, so it's a good way to motivate the kids to for general educational purposes. So you're not really teaching chess, but you're using chess as a tool for the rest of the subjects. But you can only do this if you're a general teacher, a regular teacher.
Okay.
Chess teachers, we teach chess.
Right.
I mean, I teach them how to play the moves, the general rules, and then we're going on to tactics and strategy and generally having a good time in the class, no?
You teach in English, Catalan, and Spanish? Yeah,
our school, we have about 1,000 students in the different schools of Barcelona, and 95% of that is taught in Catalan or in Spanish, both of the language. Whereas me specifically, I deal with the schools, with the English schools in Barcelona. So in Barcelona, there are some English schools as well. It's an American school. There are 2 or 3 English schools where English is the main language of the school. So logically, I am the one who goes to actually teach the lessons in these schools. Okay. One is the St. Paul School, and the other one is the Peter Pan School.
Okay. And you also mentioned you use technology a lot in your teachings. How does that work?
Well, our program for the schools includes, we have a book, a 3-level book, which we use in the Catalan and the Spanish schools. But personally, what I normally use is in the class when I'm trying to teach something to a group, I generally use the computer connected to a projector, I think it's called, it's up on the wall, and that goes to a white screen well, it's quite basic actually, you know, and I project the materials I have in my computer. And what I like to use is there's a chess page, it's very good actually, called Chess Kids Academy UK. It's a chess page which is from England. The person who developed this is Richard James. He's an English chess teacher, who, by the way, is a very good educational chess teacher. He's also written a book, and actually a person who's very knowledgeable about chess in kids, Richard James. And he's got this chess site called chesskids.uk, Chess Kids Academy. And it's very good because it's all very graphical with a very kid-like view, and there's questions, there's tests, it's very good. You can have a look if you want after the interview. It's very good material, and I use that in the classes. The kids love it because they can try their hand at the quizzes and the tests, and there's also part theory. And that's what I use for the part of the explanations. But the class typically is 1 hour, and I try to get in about 35 minutes of play and 25 minutes of theory. That's more or less the time I use for each part of the class. They have to play.
Yeah, they do.
We're talking about midday class. Right. The kids have just had lunch. The rest of the kids are playing football in the playground. If you put them in the class and start doing problems and solving things and all theory, they just won't carry on with they have to start playing, have a good time, tournaments, games, different games, and then when they had a good time, you can always get in 10, 20 minutes of chess theory at the end. That's how I do my classes. Okay,
sounds good. And you also do some stuff for ICC, correct? The Internet Chess Club.
Yes, I work for the ICC since 2005. I'm one of the persons here in Spain who takes care of support for Spanish people and Latin American people. You know, problems that arise, we'll help them out, payments, all this type of stuff. And I also I'm one of the announcers for the main events for the Spanish side, and every now and then one of the English commentators. But basically, I'm one of the Spanish commentators. I also do videos for the ICC, mainly in Spanish. But we had quite a bit of success with the Ace Up Your Sleeve opening series, As en la Manga in Spanish, and we decided to translate it to English. And now it's on sale on the store. It's going quite well. People seem to like it. Everyone likes some opening tricks, don't they?
Oh, they definitely do. Yeah, everybody wants shortcuts.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So, and do you get to play much these days?
Well, I do play I don't play very much. That's true. I'm not retired, but until about 2005, until I was about 33, 34, I was playing many tournaments. Not a huge amount, but quite a few tournaments every year. But since I got married and work has come along, and also other interests have appeared, I now play much less. That obviously has got a big impact in my rating, because when you stop playing, it's a vicious circle. Because if you stop playing, you stop studying, and when you stop studying, you stop playing. It's sort of a vicious circle, and your rating sort of goes down. But I still play the league here in Spain, the club league. I love playing the club league with my friends, and I might play 1 or 2 tournaments a year, not much more.
Okay. And what other interests have you developed that have been keeping you from playing?
Well, I wouldn't say they're keeping me from playing. It's more you do lots of chess training. You get married. You're with your wife. Other interests appear. You get less time. One of your earlier guests actually said it quite well. I think it's more that I don't have so much time to play a 9-round tournament. Right. I can't really just stop working and take 2 weeks off to go and play a tournament, for instance. One of your guests actually mentioned this a few episodes back, and that's one of the reasons why adult players can't really carry on playing these 9-round tournaments. I just don't have the time. The league is different because we play one game every weekend, every Sunday or every Saturday, so it's a bit easier. Yeah. My interests, well, I love American series and English series, TV series. I'm really hooked on that, and that's one of my
which ones?
Well, many. My favorites are the classic ones. No, The Sopranos, The Wire, Games of Thrones. I'm actually now hooked on one. It's a Danish series called The Killing. And it's actually in Danish, but I watch it with English subtitles, and it's very, very good. It's a thriller, and it's very good. And Vikings I like a lot. I mean, I see a lot of series, so that's one of my interests. The other interest I've been developing for the last year and a half is actually it's quite interesting because I don't practice it myself, but I like watching it a lot, which is the UFC fighting, the fight nights. I'm not sure if you know about this.
Greg Shahadi is into them. It's not my thing, but they are pretty popular here.
Yeah. I started listening to a podcast about a year ago called Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah,
Joe Rogan. Yeah, he has very, very good people to interview, and it seems he liked this a lot and was always talking about it. And it sort of sparked my attention. I saw 3 or 4 fights, and at first I thought it was just, sort of boxing with a bit of karate and stuff. But then I started to get a bit more into it, listening to the podcasts, and I saw that it was very interesting. There's all types of tactics, strategies, different types of matchups, different types of there's some who do jiu-jitsu, some who are box, some who. The MMA thing is very interesting, and I enjoy it quite a lot. I'm quite hooked on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's some chess players are into it for sure. You're not the first person to tell me that there's a lot of strategy.
There is. It's a bit like a chess match, actually, one against one, because you can see how the different matchups in style, how each of them try to use their style at the same time preventing the other, a fighter, trying to use his own arms. So it's quite interesting.
Right. Prophylaxis.
Yeah, there's a lot of prophylaxis there. Yeah, that's definitely.
Okay, yeah. And back to the TV thing, I just wanted to say it. I have to say it sounds like the guests we've had on the show seem to have very good taste in TV shows. Mr. Svidler, Jan Gustafsson, famous TV watcher, and I'm a fan of most of the shows you mentioned as well. So it's funny that Jon Ludvig Hammer, when he was on, he also mentioned that a lot of grandmasters are watching a lot of the TV shows.
Yeah. So it's very funny. Actually, a few years ago, I suppose there's no damage in me saying this. A few years ago, I met Vichy Anand in one of the tournaments here in Spain. And we actually talked about that, and he also had an interest in seeing TV shows, specifically English comedy shows, which I know about that because also Peter Hein Nielsen was also a fan of these English comic shows. For instance, Only Fools and Horses. That's a rare one, but it's very good.
What's it called again?
Only Fools and Horses.
Okay.
That's a very good one, very funny. If you like English comedy, then there's one that's the Fawlty Towers. Everyone knows about Fawlty Towers with John Cleese. So there, Mr. Bean. There's many of them.
Legendary, yeah.
Yeah, that's legendary. And it does seem that, but it's quite logical if you think about it, because chess players always travel with their computers, and they need something to unwind after a tough chess game. So it seems quite natural and logical that they might be interested in TV shows which they can see on their computer. So I think it's relatively logical, no? That we might like
you may have cracked the case. We figured out why all these grandmasters are watching TV. That's funny.
It does seem logical that they can see, and also because I'm not sure in Spain, in USA how it's working, but Netflix has come to Spain now. And it seems that there's a general change from people watching the regular TV to going actually to podcasts, to TV shows, to videos, to series, up to the point that when I see at home a film, sometimes I can't see the full film for 1.5 hours, and I have to do it in 2 45-minute parts. And I think that may have something to do with me seeing many series of 45 minutes. It's a funny thing that's happened to me.
Yeah, I think the smartphone for me too is like it's a distraction. If I have it, I want to look at it, and if I put it down, my attention span is shorter, which is not something to be proud of, but but it's true.
But this is the change of times, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's just something that's happening, and more or less you have to adapt to it. No, so yeah, I'm very interested in that. I used to play a bit of poker as well. I've heard that a lot of chess players also do that, and in other podcasts I've heard that you were also a player, but at a very low level. I do have a friend, I do have a colleague who is a good player. He plays a 1-2 and 2-4 no limit hold'em. He actually won the Sunday Million.
Oh wow!
When Spain was integrated in the world, because then in 2012 Spain was segregated and they started taxing it. And a lot of professional players here in Spain just went to live in England, and they emigrated because having been in tax, and the player pool went down dramatically because there was only Spanish players playing. But this was something that affected more my friend. But I used to play some tournaments at a very low level. I think they're called micro stakes.
Right. And you guys have that casino right in Barcelona, right?
We do have a good casino here. The Casino of Barcelona, I've been 2 or 3 times only, but it's a very nice casino. And they actually do a very important tournament here once a year called the Poker Stars Barcelona event. They normally do it in August. And I know that a huge amount of very good players come when the tournament is here. It's a very nice casino, actually, next to the beach. Very nice.
Yeah, I went through a poker tourism phase when I was playing professionally, but I've been to Barcelona, but not for poker. That would have been a fun one.
Yeah, but Barcelona is a very nice place to come to visit as a holiday. I think Anna Rudolph mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. She's living in Madrid, but she also mentioned that Barcelona is very nice. You have everything. You have beach, you have decent food, a huge amount of good restaurants. You can see the Sagrada Familia, which is an incredible church. It's a lovely cosmopolitan town. Actually, a lot of the luxury boats, the cruiser boats, I think they're called, they have their base in Barcelona, and they do the Mediterranean. And some of the biggest boats in in the world actually dock in the Barcelona port and then do the tour. So it's a very nice place to come for a few days.
Yeah, Barcelona is so nice that I worry that could impact its ability to churn out like strong chess players. There's too much fun stuff to do.
Yeah.
The weather's too nice. The beach is there. They can't be studying chess all the day.
Today actually is one of the worst days of the year because it's been raining all day. The funny thing is that it doesn't rain much in Barcelona a number of days, but when it rains a lot. So it actually rains during the year the same amount of rain in Barcelona as in London. You would never think this was possible. But in London it rains nearly every day, but it only drizzles. But in Barcelona it rains fewer days a year, but a bigger amount of rain. So when it rains here, it really is wet. But, from April onwards, the weather is great here in Barcelona, so it's a nice place to a bit hectic because it's a city, but it's a nice place to come about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can't gush about it enough. So you mentioned, as we mentioned earlier, you've been teaching for 25 years. Did you have any jobs outside of chess, or have you just been working in chess as an adult?
I've done other jobs. When I dropped out of university, I started working in different jobs related to restaurants and some bars as a waiter. This type of part-time jobs. Then I was working in a chess club for many years. In one of the biggest chess clubs in Barcelona. I was the sort of animator, trainer, administrative person who takes care of all the club members, etc., etc. Then I started working for a few years doing the accounting in an English school, in an English language school. But that wasn't really for me because by then I'd seen that what I enjoyed most was playing and teaching chess. Above all, teaching chess. I love teaching chess. I love having the feeling of getting with the kids and adults and seeing their eyes open up when we see some brilliant idea on the board. I really love teaching. So, I'd say that from 25, 26 onwards, basically my life has been related to chess. Yeah, for sure. And I'm very happy that has been like that. I mean, a lot of people tell me that I'm really quite fortunate because I've been able to convert my hobby, my passion, in my job, and that's something that is quite nice. It's tiring, obviously, because it's work anyway, but it's much nicer than doing many other jobs, no?
Yeah, I agree, and it's good to appreciate it too. Because
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
And since you work for Grandmaster Aleskis, do you just have one employer, or are you sort of like an independent contractor who has to set up a lot of stuff on his own?
Yeah, well, since I was working basically for Miguel in a small team, in the small company, from 2000 to 2012, 2013, more or less full time. Then we sort of changed our arrangements, and now it's more a part-time job with Miguel, obviously very important, but part-time. And now I also work for the Catalan Federation, 4 or 5 years, training the best kids in the Catalan, the best kids in Catalonia. There's 6 million people in Catalonia, so it's a big region here in Spain. And also I have quite a few private students, which I teach both on the internet if they're not Barcelona based, and if they're Barcelona based, I have quite a few students who live nearby. And in these cases, I normally go to their house or they come to my house, and I teach them sort of face to face. No, so yeah, I divide my time basically in these three areas. And also, I do have a YouTube channel as well, one of the main YouTube channels in Spanish with about 6,500 subscribers. But it's a pastime. Because right. If I can, I publish one video every week, more or less. And I like to publish some blitz videos or a top game analyzed by me or a puzzle. And it's quite popular, but it's a pastime. I can't really dedicate much time to that.
Yeah,
I'd like to, but unfortunately I can't.
Yeah. And do you follow international chess pretty closely?
Yeah. I'm quite. Well, I have to because part of my job working for the ICC is to cover these tournaments. But also my passion is chess. I mean, I'm an international master, and who knows, someday I might have more time to play some tournaments and try and go for a grandmaster norm. It's going to be tough, but I'd like to do that sometime. And when there's international tournaments, I love at night time I tune into ICC or Chess24 or Chess.com or wherever, and I go over the games. And if I find an interesting idea or an interesting position and a good ending, well, I can just incorporate it to my chess-based files, and I use that in my classes afterwards. So, yeah, I like doing that as well.
Right, yeah, and I guess if you're working with the top kids, the top Catalan players, young players, you get to teach reasonably high-level students.
Yeah. In the schools, it's basic. It's basic chess. It's more the school is more motivational. I've always thought that when you teach chess in schools, it's a low level, and the teacher is doing a motivational job. We're trying to transmit our passion for chess to these kids to allow them to have a good time learning chess, and maybe one or two of them will go on to become a chess club player and maybe have chess as part of their passion their whole lives. When you're teaching, when you're training high level regional kids. Now we're talking about kids that have 2,000 FIDE rating, 2,100 FIDE rating, 2,200 FIDE rating. Now that's a different thing. Now you're going into technification. Now you're dealing with endings, you're dealing with openings, you're dealing with strategy, you're teaching them opening repertoires. I take them afterwards to the Spanish tournaments. I have to train them when we're in the tournament. They play against the other kids of other parts of Spain. That's a more competitive chess. I enjoy most this type of chess. I also like giving chess classes to kids in schools, but obviously my passion is teaching kids who have talent and are good players. That's my passion.
Yeah, for sure. I can relate to that. So you also mentioned on your website that you had a chance to interview Vladimir Kramnik, and you consider it a career highlight.
That was very cool.
Could you tell us a little more about it?
Yeah, that was in Turin. Now this came about in 2004. There was the Olympiad in Calvià in Menorca. That's here in Spain, and I had the opportunity to go to Menorca and working for the ICC to be able to announce the games, the Olympiad games, to the audience over there in the Olympiad. That was a huge event for me, and I really enjoyed it a lot. 2 years later, in 2006, the Olympiad was in Turin, which is I think it's in the south of Italy. Yeah, the south of Italy. No, the north of Italy, sorry. Turin is in the north of Italy. And ICC did a 1 week booth there. They had their stand with the computers, with advertising stuff. ICC was present there in the Olympiad. And I had the opportunity to go there, and I was able to interview several top grandmasters. Aronian was one of them. Victor Bologan was another one of them. They're excellent players and very nice persons. And Vladimir Kramnik was the highlight. And I knew him beforehand because Miguel Illescas used to train with him, and he'd been in Barcelona. So I knew him beforehand. But interviewing him 30 minutes in the booth of ICC, that was fantastic. These are really, really cool guys. I mean, they're very nice persons, very intelligent, huge chess players. I mean, brilliant players. And the opportunity to talk to them, to discuss a bit of chess, that's something that I'll remember all my life. That was wonderful. It was brilliant. Had a really good time there in Turin.
Yeah, hopefully. I'd love to talk to him myself, of course. So Vladimir, if you're listening, give me a shout.
Yeah, they're very nice players. I really enjoy if you are able to get one of these guys on the well, you got Peter Spidler, and that was a huge interview. I enjoyed it a lot. Peter Spidler is a really intelligent guy. He speaks English fantastically.
Yes, he does. I mean, and he's modest about it.
Yeah, and he has a control of so many different words and so many different phrases. He's hugely intelligent, Very nice person. I've also interviewed him, by the way. I met him in Leon, in the tournament of Leon, Advanced Chess in Leon, a few years ago. I also interviewed him. He talked to me about cricket. I mean, I'm talking to Peter Svidland, and he started talking about cricket. No, he's also a very, very nice guy.
That's the way to his heart, if you can hold your own in a cricket conversation.
Yeah, well, I actually, although I'm English, I didn't know much about cricket, but
Right.
He seemed to be very knowledgeable about cricket. He enjoyed it a lot. He was also a very nice person and very, very kind. Very kind.
Likewise. That was my experience as well. So what's going on with the top players in Spain right now? Like who's leading the charge? Any young players we should be on the lookout for?
Well, the best Spanish player at the moment, probably with quite a bit of difference, is Paco Vallejo
Yes.
Pons. You've probably heard about him. He's
I met him through Jan briefly years ago.
Okay, yeah. I think he also he has good relationship with Jan and Chess 24. He's a very good player. He's 27-10, 27-20, and he's been there for the last, 10, 15 years. So he's probably more or less at his peak. I don't think, although he's a hugely talented player, I don't think that now he can really think about going towards the 2800 player. He is 34, and if you don't get to 2800 by 21 years old, it's difficult to get there when you're 24, no? But he's an excellent player. And coming behind him, there are two players we probably have to look out for. One of them is called David Anton, who was second in Gibraltar behind Nakamura very recently.
Oh yeah, he had quite a performance. Yeah.
Now he's a great guy. He's very modest, a hugely talented player, and I think he's now 26-50, and he's about 21 years old. So he's on the way there. He's very good. He's currently playing a tournament in Sharjah in the United Emirates. It started yesterday, an international tournament there. He's one of the kids I really think can get very high.
And where in Spain is he from?
He's from Madrid.
Okay.
He's from Madrid. The other guy who plays very well and is also very young is Ivan Salgado, who's also Grandmaster, also 26-40, and I think he's slightly older than David Anton, but obviously we're talking about guys who are 22, 23, so it's still possible for them to become huge players. And then behind them, there are lots of young players, IMs and GMs with 2,500. Actually, one of them's in the United States now. He's called Angel Arribas, and I think he plays with the Texas University, if I'm not mistaken. He's about 25-30 or 25-40, and he's one of the Spanish players who studies in one of the American universities under some sort of sponsorship or something like that. I'm not sure how that works, but he's over there playing the league there. So there are quite a few good players in Spain. That's basically the Olympic team.
Okay.
Vallejo, Anton, Salgado, and then the other player who generally plays with the Olympic team is a Russian who immigrated to Spain called Korneev, Oleg Korneev. Korneev. I'm not sure how you say it in English. Korneev. Korneev. He's 26-30. Also a very strong grandmaster. So we have a good team, but we can't really compete with China, Armenia. I mean, these guys are Russia. These guys, they're all 27, 2800. They're much better than us.
Yeah, well, these things go in cycles, so maybe Spain will have its day.
Who knows? There's a lot of chess in schools now. That's definitely very popular here in Spain. And obviously, that's been happening for the last 15 years. And so obviously, a lot of these kids who now are international masters and grandmasters have come out of chess programs in the school. So quantity normally translates to quality. So hopefully, in 5 or 10 years, we'll still get... but there's a small problem in Spain, Ben. In general, it's a bit tricky, but basically my idea is as follows. If you're born in a Occidental country like Spain or France or England or Germany, even the States, chess is not such a popular sport to become a professional. there are very few real professional chess players, because it's very difficult to make a living out of playing chess here in Spain, or actually in any Occidental country, unless you're a really, really top level player. I mean, you can look at the States. How many professionals make a living out of just playing chess in the States?
Yeah,
maybe 5 or 6,
yeah.
maybe. Yeah, 5 or 6. There are lots of very good grandmasters who occasionally win a tournament, but when you dig deep, you'll find that they're teaching or they have other incomes, and they don't. Whereas if you come from a different type of country, maybe becoming a chess professional is huge, and it allows you to make a very good income. I'm thinking of maybe South American countries or Soviet countries, ex-Soviet, such as Georgia, Armenia. These countries, maybe the general salary is very low. So if you could become a good chess player, not even a top chess player, just a good chess player, and you're able to win some tournaments, your income is very good for the level of salaries in your country. And this is something that happens to countries that have a more or less high standard of living. That it's much more difficult for parents to allow their kids to sort of leave school and try and become a chess professional, because it just doesn't work. It's going to be very difficult. And that's a fact. I think that if you come from a country with a lower level of income, where if you're a good chess player, you can actually make more money than any other job, then it's much more interesting for parents to allow their kids to go full time into chess.
Right. Maybe that's why India and China are producing so many just amazing players right now.
It's definitely one of the reasons. One of the other reasons, they've got billions of people living there, no? And the federation supports a lot. But for instance, India, as far as I know, every year there are huge amounts of Indians coming to play tournaments in Spain. I've recently played a tournament, and there were 25 Indian players. I mean, after Spanish players, there were the most of the country was Indians, and all of the Indian players were exceptionally good. They were kids of 10 years old. That they were really tough opponents, and even the adult Indian players were very good as well. And what to say about the grandmasters? And there's many of them. And I asked one of the organizers, and they told me that many of these adult players work for the government in government jobs, and the government allows them through the federation to play these tournaments with their kids. It's sort of well looked upon for the government. There's a support. And that allows them to go out of their country. And actually, if you look at the international tournaments around the world, you'll find huge amount of Indians playing in every one of them. Every tournament in Spain, there's 15 or 20 Indian players playing, and they come in families. So there must be some sort of support from the federation there for them. I'm sure about that.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get a guest on from India just to sort of get into those types of questions, because I've also noticed that. And I know that in Gibraltar, you know, that super young IM that Simon Williams calls Double Anand, whose name I unfortunately can't otherwise pronounce. But when he was on a tear, they were talking about it, and they were saying not only are they're deep in numbers at these tournaments, but they seem to be underrated.
If you play against one of these Indian kids, it's a pity, because you play against them with 2,000 rating, and then 3 months after they're out there with 2,400, because
right.
with K equal 40, they play 2 or 3 tournaments and they really go up. There's quite a few very good Indian players young. There's one of them is called Nihal Sarin, who's playing now in the Sajar. Yesterday he beat Grandmaster Matthias Blaucham, I think. And there's another one. I think Williams was probably referring to Paragnanadan, I think
yes,
it's called.
Yeah.
A very long name. He's a huge player. He's wonderful. I saw one of his wins against the Grandmaster, and I mean, it was fantastic positional play, wonderful. They're really, really good players. And these are the top Indian kids, but there's hundreds of them.
No shortage of people in India. So
yeah, I mean, in the tournament I played in December, I was playing against a Grandmaster on one board, he was crushing me. So I paid more attention to the Indian guy next to me, who was about 14 years old, and he was playing against a Serbian grandmaster of 25-50, and he was just crushing him. He was sacrificing, he was attacking me all over the board with a confidence that was really. I was thinking, this guy is 14 years old and he's crushing this grandmaster. He obviously made an international master norm in the tournament. It was incredible. And then I had my chance to play against one of the Indian adults, and I could only get a draw. And he was one of the adults with 2,200. And I thought, okay, if he's 47 or 48 and he's 2,200, he can't be so talented than the kids,
Right.
I couldn't beat him either. So
yeah.
I thought, I don't want to play against Indians if I go to a tournament.
Right.
They're really tough. And Chinese as well. It's the same thing.
Even with the kids that I teach here in Pittsburgh in the United States, the Chinese American and Indian American kids, I'd rather not play them, and there's a lot more interest from them.
I actually had a Chinese student from Shanghai. He was living in Barcelona because his father was working as he had some sort of business in Shanghai, and they had a delegation in Spain. He was here. So when he was in Barcelona, they came into contact with me, and I was giving him lessons, and a really nice kid, very talented. When they went back to China, we still had lessons by the internet, although it was a bit difficult because of the time schedule, but we were having our lessons once every 2 or 3 weeks. But when the kid got a bit bigger, when he was 13, 14, he gradually lost interest in chess because he became a very good mathematics competitor. And I do know that now he's playing, I think they call it playing, but he's competing in maths contests all over the world. So
wow.
The Chinese kids are super intelligent. They're educated in a different way. They're very respectful. Indians as well. Very modest, tremendously modest. And I think that's a virtue for chess players, being modest, very humble, I think is a word. And they're very humble. They're never bragging about the games they play. They just go about their game and try to learn. And that's the way to go with chess, actually. It's the best way to go.
Yeah.
Chinese are brilliant players, and I think they don't, at least I don't see so many younger Chinese players coming to play in Spain. Whereas Indian players leave their country a lot. I think China, they're more focused on domestic play. They play more in China. What I do know, because I asked about this, is that China has a very a special type of training system where the top players train the intermediate players, and the intermediate players train the younger players. So they're always sharing their secrets and sharing their knowledge. And that's very good because they leave their individual progress a bit on the side, and they share it to make the Chinese players in a group much better. And that's when I found out about that, I thought that's a great idea. But that wouldn't work in a country such as Spain. The top grandmasters, they won't start training medium grandmasters for them to become as good as them. It's a different mentality.
Yeah.
I don't think they work. You'd have to pay them a lot for them to do that.
Yeah, I don't think it would work here either, although it is a nice idea.
It's a very nice idea, and it seems they do that in China on a regular basis. So that's one of their secrets. They actually became Olympic champions a couple of years ago, the Chinese team. And in interviews, they were always talking about the Chinese team spirit and that they shared ideas and they prepared the games together. And that just doesn't happen in other teams. I think you interviewed, was it the American coach Lenderman?
Lenderman, yeah, GM Lenderman.
And he actually mentioned that he was helping, but not so much because each of the players normally did their own preparation. He even mentioned that it was tricky to make sure that to not tell one player the preparation of another player. It was tricky for him. That's understandable, but that wouldn't happen in China because they share all their secrets because it's a team effort.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's very good. The other thing is that American has a huge team, so they didn't really need that, no? Because with Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, and Wesley So, that's an incredible team.
Yeah.
It's more than enough to win.
Well, thanks for that insight, Michael. It's the next best thing to my having a Chinese or Indian guest. I feel like I learned a little bit about their cultures. So
I love you to be able to get one of these an Indian guest or a Chinese guest on the.
Yeah, so
Indian's probably easier because Chinese don't speak so much English.
Yeah, I agree.
It's difficult. But the Indians speak very good English in general.
Yeah, sooner or later it'll happen. Was there anything else you want to talk about before I let you go, Michael?
Well, I was very happy when you asked me to come on the program because I'm really a huge fan of your program. I think it's something that you don't really need to have a chessboard to be able to have a discussion with a chess player. In general, most chess players are quite open and can talk about a load of different things. So, Ben, thanks for inviting me, and be sure I'll continue listening to all the rest of your invitees, and I'll try and spread the word here in Spain. Although not many Spanish people understand English well, but in the chess players group, a lot of them speak English, so I'll try and share it.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Michael. I really enjoyed this interview, and keep up the good work in Barcelona. Enjoy the city.
Okay, it's been a pleasure. If you ever come to Barcelona, don't forget to hit me up, and we'll go out and eat a nice paella.
Oh, sounds good to me. I'll definitely do that.
That'll be nice. No
All
problem.
right, take care, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Perpetual Chess. To hear more episodes, give feedback, or suggest guests, go to perpetualchesspod.com. If you like the show, please help me out by telling your friends and giving me a high rating on iTunes. I'll be back next week with another episode of the Perpetual Chess Podcast.